Sometimes in life, you have to make a decision. You come to a point where you don't know if you should go with what's reliable or maybe you should try the newcomer on the block.
Which should we choose? The reliable original or the newcomer with bling?
I don't know, bling can be attractive, but it can have its downsides. There is something to be said about having wisdom and being older.
You don't really offer anything I haven't already brought to the table, do you?
Well, I am shiny and new.
Shiny and new. Is that all you got, kid? Well, anyways, today we're going to take a look at the shiny and new XF35H from our friends at Xifun. But what about the original, the GOAT, the 351p from Ambernick? It's reliable. It's been here and it's got that awesome screen for Game Boy Advance. Which of these two should you pick? Or if you find yourself choosing between these two, which is ultimately the better buy? They both come in around the same price. Anyways, remember to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode of our awesome content. Anyways, let's hop in and take a look at both of these, the new boy and the old standard. Hey, Deadheads. Ioneo has an awesome roadmap, but God, who can afford all these? I mean, with all these really interesting, good looking handhelds that we know are going to be priced very high, I wish there was a solution for that. Something where you could kind of use them and try them, but not have to spend all that money.
I would like to lease the newest Ioneo handhelds.
We have the Pocket DS in stock for $99 for 3 months.
Wow, Deadfred thinks of everything. For 3 months, for 99 bucks, I can play with it for 3 months? I'd probably get bored with it and I'd want the new thing after that. No, wait, there's no such thing as Deadfred leasing. I think it's a terrible idea. I don't think you can make money that way. Anyways, hey Deadheads, welcome to the channel. Or welcome to the channel for the first time, new Deadheads. Today, we're going to take a look at a battle of 3.5-inch horizontals between the old and the new. All right, so let's start with our Xifun right here. Now, previously reviewed the 720p 4-inch Xifun that we found to be really good. And so this one I was looking forward to because the 3.5-inch horizontal form factor is one of my favorites because it's a little more pocketable. But let's start with the hardware as always, and yes, we have really nice buttons. These are nice independent buttons, and you can see through it that it is independent buttons. So we have a nice setup here already. The buttons feel really good. They feel nice, just like they did on their 4-inch brother. Moving over to the D-pad, and yes, we have a nice D-pad. This is really good. I was really surprised at how nice this D-pad is. I like it quite a bit. Now, again, these are a little bit closer to the volume buttons here, the plus and minus, but there's enough space that it's not really a problem. Moving and checking the sticks. And okay, good old reliable switch style sticks. So nothing surprising there. They feel pretty good. And then those shoulder buttons. Yes, I loved those shoulder buttons the way they were on the 4-inch 720p, and this is no different. They're in a alignment, but the R2 and L2 is raised with a button style. I think this is a really nice solution if we're not going to do stacked triggers. If we're going to do inline, I like this quite a bit. And then you do have your start and select. Moving around the side, we do have a reset and power button. We have nothing on the bottom, but we do have the speaker hole. And then on the left side, we have a single SD card slot. On the top, we do have 2 USB-C ports, and then where that HDMI port would have been, but it's not there for the shell, and then a headphone jack. And then moving to the back, we have the pads. That's right, the pads are back. I don't really know why these went out of fashion because I like the pads quite a bit. And these are good. They full feature. They go all the way up and down. They feel nice. This is a nice feeling handheld in an attractive colorway. So overall, the hardware feels nice. It feels nice to hold in the hand. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't rattle. It feels nice. But what about the old standard? Oh yeah, the original, the 351P, the Granddaddy, the Ambernick. Here are the pads on this one, but look, they're not fully through. So when comparing the two side by side, I actually like how the pads go all the way up on this. I think it's an improvement. Now, some people may not like to touch the pads, and this may be a better solution, but for Deadfred, I like it that it does that. Starting with the buttons on the old standard, and the buttons are quiet and they are independent. Now, these buttons feel good, but you can tell if you've used recent Ambernick products that they have really improved the buttons over the years. So while I like these are not quite as good as the newer style buttons that you see on Ambernick handhelds. These are not quite as good as on the XF. I prefer the buttons on the XF, but I would prefer the newer Ambernick buttons overall. Now, between the two handhelds, these buttons are a little bigger. So if you like bigger buttons, this is probably going to be more of a match for you. Moving on to the D-pad. Oh, such a good D-pad. It looks like Ambernick's probably had really good D-pads for a while. But going head to head, and these D-pads are very similar. They're very similar. They feel very similar. And so I can't really say one better or not. Speaking of similar, what about the sticks? Look at that. They're probably the same sticks. Now, the XF one sticks up just a little bit higher. So if you're talking about pocketability, you might go with the 351P just because they're a little bit more down in there. But other than that, I think they're the same sticks. They seem the same, they feel the same and everything. Switch style sticks. Moving on to the shoulder buttons, and they're a little clicky. Oh, there's that little clicky loudness. They're in line and they're separated. And while I like this, once you try something like this that just has that raised button, and now that I hear both of them, I guess they're about the same. They sound about the same as far as clickiness. But I really do prefer the shoulder buttons on the XF35H. These shoulder buttons are great. There's nothing wrong with them. And I like the two-tone color, but I would prefer the others. Now, going around the side, we have a volume wheel. Oh boy, you know what? I think I kind of like volume wheels. I think Deadfred's okay with that. But there is a volume wheel. On the bottom, we do have a reset button. We have a single TF slot along with the speaker holes. And then we have a power button on the left side. On the top, rounding out, we have an OTG and an OTG DC port and a headphone jack. Now, let's talk about another. These both come ready to use Wi-Fi out of the box with a difference. What's the difference? Well, back in the old days, guys, this guy right here, he shipped with a dongle. He shipped with a dongle and an adapter that we have right here. So it actually comes with the ability to do Wi-Fi, but you have to put the dongle in. So in the few years since we've had all these clones, we now have something that has Wi-Fi built in. And so between the two, this is just a little bit better because it has that Wi-Fi built in and you don't have to mess with the dongle. Although the dongle does give the ability to use on other handhelds if you have that. Looking at this is a good, solid made handheld. It doesn't rattle. I'm not sure if Ambernick, under the Ambernick brand, had ever made a terrible handheld. Now, another thing that might annoy some people, yes, we've got the Ambernick logo right there on the front. That may be a little bit of an annoyance between the two. And also, ding, 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 no RGB. So if you're into bling, you're going to get bling here. You're not going to get bling there. So from a hardware perspective, really the biggest difference between these two, they both feel great. They feel great in the hand, but we have RGB, we have built-in Wi-Fi, and then we have, a bit smaller. When you put the two next to each other, the XF35H is just a bit smaller. They weigh about the same. They both feel wonderful. I'd have to say that even though I would probably pick the new guy over the old standard at this point, the old standard is still there. It's hanging in there. The old guy has got a lot of great to it. And if you end up with the 351P, I think you'll get some great stuff. Let's talk about one other big difference between the two of these. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the video, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about this guy. Yes, this is Powkiddy's newest, the V90S. Now, if you know anything about the original V90, it was a bit of a janky little console, but it won over the hearts of gamers everywhere because it really was the only clamshell that was available at that time. But now we have the V90S. We want to thank our friends at Aliexpress for sending this over. We've been using this console quite a bit. Go check out our initial impression video. But let me tell you, this guy has a lot of charm. He has a lot going for it, including this little slick area down right here. Make sure you hit my influencer page to check out the code so you can save on items like this and much more. Anyways, again, thanks to our sponsor Aliexpress for sending over this great handheld, and to Powkiddy for making the follow-up that we all wanted. Back to the show. All right, so as I pull up some footage here to kind of show the two side by side and how they look physically, the other significant difference between the two of these is that the Anbernic 351P is rocking a really awesome 3:2 ratio screen, which is beautiful and perfect for GBA, and actually the golden ratio for every other sort of aspect ratio you could run into. We're on the 640 by 480 standard 4:3 aspect ratio with this one. So between the two, that is a significant difference in the screen ratio. You're going to get GBA on this. It's going to scale right at an integer, and you're going to have this one that's going to be 4:3. So let's talk about that and show some footage. Is it worth it to have this 3:2 screen? Now, there's a lot of people who believe that the 3:2 screen is the golden screen because things like 16:9, like the PSP, and other things like a 4:3 are going to fit better and have less black bars on each side when you're using it. So going with the 3:2 screen does open a world of possibilities for having the least amount of black bars versus the 4:3. Playing PSP on this, for example, is not going to look as good as it is on this. Now, the other reality is that this chipset is the same CPU. We have the same CPU in both of these, so it's a wash. It's running the same Emulec, so that's a wash as well. So again, PSP is not really going to run the best on a 3326. So 16:9 content you're not going to run into a lot. You're not going to be streaming to this thing probably. It's got Linux, and so you do have Portmaster, so maybe you'll get some of those. But for the most part, 16:9 is not really going to occur. So really, if you're going to play a lot of Game Boy Advance, then I say, hey, the old man, he's probably going to reign supreme here. But if you're going to play a variety of other games, you're probably going to end up having something look better with the 4:3 screen ratio here. Now, we know a lot of the retro systems were in funky aspect ratios like 8:7 and different things like that. So really, honestly, either way, you're going to get a good look on those older systems, something like Game Boy Color or Game Boy. So it's going to come down really to form factor, feel, and the few differences between the two. The new guy's got bling. He's shiny. He's got some RGB. We've got some button upgrades on the top. We've got a longer hold of the back part to hold on to. And we have built-in Wi-Fi. But the good old standard here, the good Anbernic quality, it just proves that Anbernic has been putting out good products for a long time. This guy is over 4 years old, which is ancient in this thing, is there. So really, if you end up with either one of these, guess what, guys? You're probably going to have a good time. Now, we left out the follow-up to this from Anbernic, the 35XXH, which is an excellent handheld. Go watch our video on that, and maybe we should be competing the two of those. But I wanted to take a look at something that if you had in the drawer and forgot about it, or maybe it's on sale, used, and really cheap, or somebody doesn't want to use it anymore, this is a great selection, guys. Anbernic has been making great products for quite a while, and this is awesome. Unfortunately, there's no built-in Wi-Fi, but they do provide you Wi-Fi in the box. Anyways, check out my influencer page and my codes to pick up either one of these, because both of these are going to give you a good time. On this channel, we review a lot of junk, a lot of trash, and while these are not the best handhelds you can get, they're both solid choices either way. Xifun is really impressing us. I'm looking to see what you guys can do, keeping out for them because, hey, they're putting together some good products. Anyways, remember to hug your loved ones and love your hugged ones because tomorrow is never promised. We'll see you next time, Deadheads. Deadfred out.